In the world of gaming, there exist two tribes of video games: AAA games and indie games. Well, technically 3 tribes, but let's face it, fan games are a cesspool of both the good and the bad. Oh my god, there's so many. Oh no, there's so many. Why is there so many? I'm gonna be honest, I think I prefer indie games over the games made by the big old companies. Let me explain. Indie games allow so much more freedom as to what the game could be, whether it be in the gameplay, the storyline of the game, or even something as simple as the art direction. They provide developers with so much more creative freedom, which can result in a unique product with so much passion and hard work put into it. Then again, this isn't always the case. Like fan games and any other games, indie games can be bad. This isn't me claiming that all indie games are good and are better than AAA games, and that AAA games don't have any love put into them. It's just that indie games have more potential, and, you know, are more likely bangers of games. Plus, it's always good to be supporting independent creators that really love what they're doing and want to stay in the field of game development. With that, I've collected 5 indie games that I've played and I would recommend for everyone to play. That's right, everyone. I got the idea to do this video from Noodle, who also did a video on indie games. Yeah, I know, I'm an original content creator. I'd recommend watching his video as well, as he has more games that aren't on my list and are probably also more underrated indie games than what I have. Either way, go check it out, link in the description. Also, I'll be doing very light reviews on the games, going over their strong suits and their flaws, but because of doing this, there might be some spoilers. Not that I'm going out of my way to do that, I ain't like that, but beware that a good majority of my picks have story elements in them and that I'll be briefly talking about the general bits of them. So if you want to go in blind to a particular game, I put all the timestamps in the description so you can just skip past them. With that out of the way, without further ado, let's get gaming.
Goodbye, Father.
Hades is a roguelike dungeon crawler where you play as Hades' son, Zagreus, and make attempts to escape from the underworld. You fight through hordes of enemies and various different bosses to make your way out, while also meeting characters from Greek mythology who help you on your way, such as the Olympian gods, the creepy boatman Charon, and Eurydice. God, she's hot. Now normally I'm not too into games like this, but for some reason this one really grabbed my attention. Like, I think I'm addicted to this game. The gameplay is super fast paced and so satisfying, as every fight seems deserved and gives that sense of satisfaction after winning, especially after beating bosses. There's also endless replayability with this game, since every attempt will be different, whether it's in the dungeons themselves, what boons you'll be getting from the gods, or whatever challenges you decide to place on yourself. You definitely won't be beating this game in one go, and even after beating the game once, you're gonna want to keep on playing. All the characters in the game that you meet all have distinct personalities and are super likable. Well, besides Hades. Hades. Even Charon is likable, and he doesn't even talk. The dialogue between the characters feels very genuine, and they're able to change from being very plot-driven and serious one moment to very wholesome and hilarious the next. Something that's very impressive about this is that it feels like they prepared so much when it came to the dialogue. I've been playing this game for over 40 hours now, and I'm still getting new pieces of dialogue every single run I do. Talk about going beyond! The plot of the game is beautifully done, the soundtrack is spine-tingling, I might be attracted to all the characters in the game, and the artwork is phenomenal. I honestly couldn't think of a major flaw with this game, besides the game possibly being a bit too fast-paced for some people, but come on, that's not even the game's fault. Hades has been claimed Game of the Year by so many gaming media, and it is definitely deserved. With all that said, Hades has claimed the spot as one of my favorite video games of all time, and it's one that you won't regret playing. Plus you can pet the dog!
Fortunate surfer sees something in you.
Spiritfarer is a building management game that takes place all on a boat. Now imagine that Charon from the previous game played Wind Waker, got old, and decided to hand off all of his work and emotional depth to a girl and her cat. And that is Spiritfarer. You play as Stella, the new Spiritfarer, and set sail through the afterlife and find spirits who are waiting for you to find them, take care of them, and eventually let them go into the great beyond. Oh, I forgot to mention that this game is about death. So yeah, similar to Hades, I am super addicted to this game, but for different reasons. The gameplay is pretty simple and follows a similar formula as any other management game. Build a boat, set sail around to different island on boat, find spirits and resources on islands to take back to boat, feed and take care of said spirits on boat, and various other activities and minigames relating to said things on boat. It's like Animal Crossing, except if Animal Crossing were on a cruise ship and the villagers you get attached to die. The character work they did is absolutely amazing, as they made each character very unique and lovable in their own way, making you become more emotionally invested in them. Each spirit you meet has their own specific requests and storylines, and by doing said requests and talking to them, you get to learn more about them, furthering your bond between you and them. The dialogue in this game is great and ranges from having some of the funniest bits to some of the most heartbreaking moments at the appropriate times. The artwork is very charming and beautiful, and the music is perfect for setting the atmosphere. All these features contribute to making a game that's really good for providing a very cozy and relaxing experience that can also make you cry along the way. The only thing I could say as a drawback of the game is that the gameplay can get pretty tedious at times, but as you play the game for longer, you get more new and complex tasks that pile up onto your ever-growing lists of things to do on your ship. There's also a plot that ties you to all the spirits and how they died, but my peanut brain has yet to piece together all those bits of info. Despite its shortcomings, the game does a really good job at covering the topic of death and grief, as you get to create these bonds with your passengers and inevitably learn how to say goodbye to your friends you made on your journey. It can easily be relatable to those who have lost someone close to them, as each character can represent someone who may be or has been in the player's personal life. I would heavily recommend this game to people who like resource management games like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley, and people who are looking for a really good story-driven and relaxing game to play after work. Even to the people who think this might not be their type of game, I would still heavily recommend and encourage you to play this game until your first spirit passes to the other side. Trust me, it's worth it. Ah yes, OMORI, or how some people like to call it, the next Earthbound. I never really liked saying that things are the next blank because it just takes away from the specialty that comes from the actual game. Like you could draw comparisons that OMORI is similar to games like Earthbound and Undertale, but it's not the next Earthbound or the next Undertale, because it just isn't, and you're setting yourself up for expectations based on that. It's OMORI. And OMORI is a story-driven RPG game where you play as the character named OMORI and go around the dreamscape with your friends and go on a fun, wacky adventure. Yup, that's it. Okay, so I lied. There definitely is a lot more to this game than meets the eye, but saying anything more than that would spoil the entire plot of the game, which is one of the best things about it. I would actually recommend that you take the opportunity now to try the game out for yourself without my input on it before you get potentially spoiled. Playing this game blind is the best thing you could do for yourself to experience the game at its fullest, and I would not have played it any other way. So, I'm giving you this chance right now. If you want to go into the game completely blind, go on and skip over to the next game. If you aren't convinced that this game is actually good, don't leave, and I will tell you right into your stupid little face why you're wrong and how this game is a masterpiece. Are all the true gamers gone? Yes? Okay, well, here we go. The story of OMORI, that rhymed, is absolutely amazing and is one of the most emotional stories I've seen. Both in its writing and visuals, this game is chock full with storytelling. I literally don't think I could say anything else without entering spoiler territory. Another thing this game has going on and does really well is its world building. Everywhere you go has so much detail put into it, and it does so much to add on to the story. The characters that you meet on the journey are all great, and you will definitely be growing attached to your party. To add on, this game is freaking hilarious with jokes that I think rivals the humor of Undertale. From random descriptions to ongoing gags to a freaking pet rock, OMORI is absolutely filled with laughs left and right. The actual gameplay in OMORI is very similar to any other RPG maker that you've seen, with the exception that its turn-based combat is pretty unique and can be pretty fun. It can get a bit repetitive at times, but with different enemies who have different fight styles, it kind of distracts you from that. Plus, I think repetitive gameplay can just be applied to any other RPG combat. While also having an amazing soundtrack and very nice art style, OMORI is a must-play game that needs to be got into blind. Besides the little bits that I've shown, but that's your fault for being an OMORI denier, you stinky boy. It's okay though. Now you've seen the light and are ready to be exposed to such a gem of a game. Have fun. Celeste is a precision platformer where you play as Madeline as she climbs her way to the top of Celeste Mountain while she deals with her own personal issues. This game is hard, and when I say hard, I mean this game is actually hard. There is an assisted mode, but I wanted a challenge and to subject myself to a more difficult game, but apparently the game still retains its difficulty even in assisted mode. Plus, I ain't a chump. Despite its difficulty, the platforming is really fun. Each level increases in intensity as new mechanics are presented. And again, all these attributes contribute to making the game keep you on your toes and provide a fun experience. Well, except for the wind. The wind sucks. The level design is really well done as it encourages learning and exploration. There's also a crap ton of collectibles that are spread across the game, from its strawberries to the cassette tapes that allow you to play remixed versions of the levels, to these weird little heart things that I still have yet to figure out how to get. The best part is that none of these collectibles are exactly mandatory. They are purely there to provide a small bit of challenge to the game, and it really depends on how you want to experience the game. Besides its gameplay, the art in this game is adorable, the soundtrack is a bop, and the story is both intriguing and has a powerful message of reflection. I know all the other indie games I've mentioned all have emotional stories or are story based, but trust me, Celeste's story is really well done. My only real gripe with the game besides its win mechanics is that the control scheme for the keyboard is pretty bad, but that's not even a problem since you could just rebind all your controls to however you want to play. However, I would recommend just skipping the hassle and, just play the game on a controller. Honestly, Celeste is what this genre of platformers should be. Nothing that's difficult for the sake of being difficult and being unpredictable, but a game that encourages to learn the levels and make completing even just one segment satisfying. Handy Harry's Haunted House Services. Whew, that's a mouthful. From here on, I'm just gonna call it Handy Harry's. Anyway, Handy Harry's is a multiplayer horror game where you and up to 7 friends have to find and repair stuff to fix the power. While doing this, you'll be chased by a spooky ghost and have to escape. While doing this, you'll be chased by a spooky ghost and have to escape once you finish the job and pull the master switch. Now this may sound easy, but the thing that makes it hard is the RNG. Every time you play, the map is randomly generated and scales with the amount of people you have. So if you have more people, the bigger the map is and the more tasks you'll have. And if you're on your own, the map is smaller and you have no friends. Because of how well done the RNG is, the game is actually very difficult if you don't have a good sense of direction. For beginners, this game has a really good blend of fear and panic, as the ghost gets angry and angrier the more tasks you finish. And to assist this, the graphics provide this ominous feeling and can make you feel more paranoid. Plus, it's just a cool aesthetic. After a while, the game can get pretty stale and the jump scares can lose their spook value, but it holds up when playing with lots of friends for some good scares and a good laugh. The graphics of the game can also take a toll after playing the game for a bit too long, as the pixelation can kinda leave a headache after a while. Well, at least for me anyways. Even though I just praised it, my one real complaint is the RNG. Sometimes the RNG can make the maps a bit too hard or make the ghost a bit too aggressive, thus leading to games that could just go on forever with nothing really happening. Now, fun fact, this game is being worked on all by one person, and they're trying their best to update the game regularly and bring changes to the game that can draw players back in. Another fun fact is that the game had a major update that made me rewrite the entire script from what I originally had. The gameplay went from only to having to press E on a couple of fuse boxes to having actual tasks akin to the tasks in Among Us. Updates like these are the types of updates that really revive the game and make it a completely new experience. Despite my criticisms, I still heavily recommend it as it is a very fun horror game to play with a bunch of friends. Plus, you'd be supporting an independent creator that is doing their best on a game that they did not even know would be received well.
Pressure on me.
If it was only me and T, I think. Oh my god!
Bye, Crab.
And that was all the indie games that I have time for. I know that a good chunk of the games that I reviewed aren't exactly obscure indie games, and I kinda see that now, but I still wanted to give my recommendations on some really good indie games that I've played recently. Plus, it totally wasn't an excuse for me to talk about how much I love Hades. I do have a lot more indie games that I have played and plan on playing, so if this video does well and you guys want to see more, I'll consider doing another video, but cover some more underrated indie games. If you guys end up playing any of the games that I recommended, let me know what you guys thought of them in the comments. I'd love to see if you guys loved any of the games, or even if you disliked the games, because that means I'll dislike you. Hey I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a bit different from the type of content that I normally make, which is also why it took a bit longer to create, but the whole process was really fun to do. So currently I am out of school, but I'm also starting up some summer work, so I'll kind of have more time to make more videos. Hopefully the next video will be out soon though. Big thanks to Chip Chat for making the Celeste stills. This video would have been delayed for another week if she didn't do them, so huge thanks. Go subscribe to her channel. Link in the description and on the screen. If you didn't know, I'm now on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and this is actually the first video of Road to 1K. What does this mean? Well, it means that I'll be trying my best to put on streams and release content this summer for a summer of Crabbage and try to push us to 1K faster. As always, thank you guys so much for the fan art. I always appreciate it, and I love whatever you guys make for me. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and even join the Discord. You guys could send me fan art through those 3 different ways. Yep. That's all I have for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!